10 years in, and the woods still lie to you the same way every time. Quiet, right up until it isn't. Wind moving high in the canopy, never quite reaching the ground. The occasional drip of water off a branch. No birds this deep in, no small game. The deep wood at dusk smells the way it always does out here. Wet bark, old leaf rot, and underneath it, faint but constant, that sour mineral tang the bloom leaves on everything it touches. Even ground that isn't actively growing anything. You stop noticing it after a while, or you tell yourself you have. You learn to listen for the wrongness instead of the sound. Something moves between the trunks. I can smell it before I fully see it. That same sour tang. Stronger now. Close enough to be one thing instead of background. Antlers grown through with pale branching fungus. Legs bent at angles a deer's legs were never built to bend at. New. You can tell by how slow it is. Hasn't figured out yet that stillness doesn't save it the way it used to. This one's slow, new, hasn't figured out yet that it should be afraid of me too. It's over fast. My own breath's louder in my ears than the fight was. Always feels wrong after, like the body keeps scored differently than the mind does. Standing over it, the smell's thicker now. Sour, rot, and spore. Something colder underneath. I breathe through my mouth until it passes. 60 coin from the hold, less than it used to be, more than most people risk their neck for. Wind thins out, replaced, bit by bit, by the low hum of a settlement, a dog barking somewhere, a hammer striking metal, an irregular rhythm, dozens of low voices layered into one sound. Ashgate rises out of the fog the way it always does, gray stone at the base, timber stacked crooked on top by however many generations of hands that didn't match. Smoke reaches you before the walls do, wood smoke, roasting meat from somewhere inside, wet stone, and the smell of a lot of people living close together that no amount of open sky ever quite airs out. They check you at the gate, not for weapons, for the take. Roll your sleeves, open your collar, let the counters look you over before they decide you're still allowed inside your own town. Same counter as always. Older, stooped, a little from years behind a desk instead of years in the field. Gray hair, ink worked permanently into the creases of his fingers. He doesn't look up much, doesn't need to. He's done this exact motion enough times that his hands know it better than his attention does. Same as last month, he says, not really looking at me. You're still under the line. Comforting, I tell him. Past the gate, Market Street's doing what it always does. Noise stacked on noise. Bread and hay and hot metal, all fighting for the same air. Fresh bread from one stall, roasting chestnuts from another. The sharp bite of the tanner's shop. I always walk a little faster past than I mean to. None of these people know what I do for a living. None of them particularly want to. That's fine. I don't walk through here to be looked at. I walk through here because it still works, because somebody built this and it's still standing. The contract board smells like it always does. Old paper, tallow wax, ink, and wood smoke from a hearth mirror keeps going even in warm weather, because half the people who come through here are cold in a way that isn't about the temperature. She's behind the counter, same as always, dark hair pulled back tight and practical. Sharp eyes that clock exactly who's walked in before she's finished her sentence. Ink smudged along one hand from a full day of ledger work. You're early, she says, or that thing in the east woods finally learned to run. Didn't need to run fast, I tell her. Just needed to not be there when I showed up. It was. Another cutter's already at the board, reading something posted near her elbow. Older than me, broader through the shoulders, an axe slung instead of a blade. More of the pale marks showing at his collar and wrist than I've got. He reads it twice, exhales through his nose, the sound of someone deciding something isn't worth it, no words needed. East Ridge one, he mutters, mostly to himself, on his way out. Already read it, not touching that for double the coin. Reassuring, I say, to nobody in particular. There's another one, Mira says, came in this morning. I almost didn't post it. Why almost, I asked her. She slides the coin across first, old habit, pay before the hard part, then pulls the second paper out from under the ledger slow enough that I can tell she's still half deciding whether to hand it over at all. Bloom touch don't avoid traps. They don't remember yesterday long enough to learn from it. That's what made it bloom touched and not just an animal anymore. East Ridge, past the old mine road, she says. Whatever's out there is smarter than it should be. I'm not sending anyone less experienced than you after that. Where exactly past the road, I ask. A beat, longer than it needed to be. Her voice dropped when she finally answers, heavier, not quieter. Near the old training ground, where Garrow used to take you. Before I head out, I stop by the short wick to gear up. Smells the way it always does. Ale gone a little stale in the wood smoke, oiled leather, something savory, simmering in the back that never quite finishes cooking. Brahms behind the bar, big weathered hands, moving through motions he's done 10,000 times. East Ridge, he says, voice pitched low, the way it always is. Heard already. You want the good whetstone, or you want to keep pretending the cheap one works fine? It works fine, I tell him. It works, he says. Don't let your pride write checks your neck can't cash. I take the good whetstone, sharpen the blade in a quiet corner while Nessa moves between the tables. Quick, light on her feet. That particular gallows humor this trade runs on instead of blood. Bram's just mad, she says, passing by, because the last guy who used the cheap one didn't come back to return it. Nessa, Bram says, not amused. What? She says. It's true. On my way out, my eyes pass over the memorial wall. Carved names. One worn glove nailed up. Tally marks nobody bothers explaining to newcomers anymore. Doesn't smell any different than the rest of the room. That's the thing about it. It's not a set apart, just part of the furniture. The way a trade with this morality rate actually memorializes its dead. I don't stop tonight. Not yet. Ashgate's hum fades out over the walk. Wind through branches again. Boots on root tangled ground. The low level rustle of small things moving through underbrush that aren't worth a second look. Garrow's been dead 8 years. Nobody ever found the body. In this line of work, that's not unusual. The rot doesn't leave much behind. I stopped expecting an answer a long time ago. The trail east thickens fast once you're past the last cleared ground. The smell changes with it. Less wood smoke and bread, more wet moss and standing water. That same sour mineral edge from earlier, fainter here, but never fully gone once you're deep enough in. You get used to the sound out here, the small stuff. Enough of it around you, you stop hearing it. Same as you'd stop hearing your own footsteps. Then it goes quiet, not peaceful quiet, wrong quiet. No small stuff moving anymore, no distant rustle, nothing but my own breathing and wind too high up to touch the ground. Then it goes quiet, and you notice that a lot faster. Quiet like this usually means something's already moved through and cleared the ground. I reached the ruins not long after, the old training ground, a collapsed practice yard, dummies rotted and overgrown, a rusted blade half buried in root matter that's been there longer than I've been alive. Thick with wet decay here, old wood gone soft, and under all of it, that same sour bloom scent. Patient and consistent. Something else, too, half sunk in the dirt at the clearing's edge. A fragment of something that doesn't match anything a smith or mason in this world would build. I don't look twice. It's just old ground debris to me. I've got no reason yet to think otherwise. Didn't expect to find one today either. A shape comes out of the trees, heavily bloom touched, humanoid in build but wrong in scale and texture. The smell that comes with it is stronger than anything I've caught all day. Thick, sour, almost sweet in a way that turns the stomach worse than clean rot ever does. And there, across one forearm, pale growth and a pattern that almost look like old scarring. I've killed a lot of things that used to be someone. You stop looking too closely. It's easier. It doesn't attack, tilts its head instead, watching me the way you'd watch someone you're trying to place. The breathing keeps going, slowed, controlled, nothing about the rhythm feral. I look closely this time. Everything goes still, blade lowered, not raised, because whatever's happening in my head right now isn't readiness. It's recognition, trying to land somewhere it doesn't want to. Garrow. I say it quiet, almost afraid to. Its jaw moves, labored, wrong, every word dragged up from somewhere far under all that growth. Boy is all it gets out. 10 years. I've been told the take erases you before it finishes you. That whatever's left in there stops being anyone a long time before the body stops moving. Its eyes sharpen, visible, agonized effort, fighting harder now, losing for every fragment of the next word. Not gone, it says. They lied. Then the growth pulses, spreads fast and wrong, right in front of me. Something reasserting control. Whatever awareness was behind his eyes a second ago drained straight back out. Whatever was left of him, it couldn't hold on. I watched it go, in real time, like a light losing a fight against the dark. He comes at me, no recognition left in his face at all, just the same feral momentum anything bloom touched brings. His lunge throws me back through the collapsed fence, dummies and old wood splintering around me, dust, rot smell, kicked up thick enough to taste. Whatever's left of him, the body still remembers how to hit hard. I get a clean strike in, the kind that should stagger anything with a pulse. He doesn't even flinch. Wounds don't slow it down the way they should. You don't get to fight this like a person. That's the mistake that gets cutters killed. He gets the advantage, blade knocked out of reach. Pressed down hard enough that for 1 second, just one, I see him again. Not the thing wearing his shade, him. Genuinely him, flickering through even mid-attack. And the sound that comes with it isn't a roar at all, just ragged human breathing, close to my ear. For 1 second, I saw him again, not the thing, him. That's the second that almost got me killed. I find the old rusted blade half buried where I first saw it, still sharp enough. 10 years in this trade taught me one thing that actually matters when it counts. Every one of them has a seed, a place the root goes back to. You don't find it by hoping. You find it because you've done this enough times to know exactly where to look. The strike lands clean, deliberate, right where it needs to. The growth destabilizes, flickers, and goes still. He came at me the way anything Bloom Touch does, and I did the only thing 10 years in this trade has ever trained me to do. I don't feel like I want anything. Standing over him, blade still in my hand, there's no part of this that reads as a victory. The smell here is worse than anywhere else today. That sour bloom scent, gone thick and final, mixed with something underneath it I try not to name. 8 years ago, I told myself he was already dead. Today, I found out that was only half true, and I'm the one who finished the job. The walk back through the deep woods is slower than the walk out, heavier. There's a version of this job where you count what you earned. Today isn't that version. 60 coins for the first one, nothing for the second. Some jobs don't pay in coin at all. I pass back through the gate without stopping for a check. The counter on duty glances up, his quill pausing mid-line. Something in his face I can't quite read, gone as fast as it appeared. He doesn't say anything, doesn't need to. Later, quieter now. Fewer people. I end up at the memorial wall. I don't have a name to add. Garrow's already been presumed dead for 8 years. No marker of his own was ever made. So I just stand there, hand flat against the worn wood, the grain of it rough under my palm, the room smelling like it always does. Ale, wood smoke, something savory finally finished cooking in the back. That's all there is to do about it tonight. He was trying to tell me something before the bloom took the rest of him. I didn't get all of it, but I got enough. Somebody's been lying to us about what the take actually does. And I'm not stopping until I find out who and why they let it happen to him twice.